Welcome back to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is going to be my review of the full game. I've completed the story. I've done 100% of the exploration in the game. The only thing I would have left to fully complete absolutely everything would be to get 6 achievements. It's basically data logs and stuff like that. There's 10 things I'm going to be talking about and not too much depth to them. The game isn't exactly long. If you're playing through the story, depending how much exploring you're doing whilst you're playing through, on average the main story would probably take about 12 to maybe 14 or 15 hours. And just so that you guys know, I'm playing on the standard Xbox One, not the S, not the X, so some of these things could differ depending on your platform. So the very first thing is going to be the story. It's not too long, but at the same time it's not too short. I think they've done very well with the length of it, considering it's a single player campaign. The entire game is single player, there's not a multiplayer option in there at all. And it picks up, like you pick up the game, you start playing the story, and it's just you, and you're learning everything from scratch. Kind of like going through memories and like flashbacks to gain your abilities and stuff. But as soon as you meet BD1, the story just instantly gets better with him around. He is such a good companion to have. He sits on your shoulder, he throws you out stim canisters, which help you regain health. And then there's different parts that like throw him under the bus, throw you under the bus. The characters are done really well. And just in general, it's a good story. If you like stories, if you like Star Wars in any way, shape or form, this is 100% worth picking up. Then we have the customization. There's not a massive amount of customizing, but one thing I do like is how their main focus was the customization of the lightsaber. Everyone's saying they want red, they want black, they want all these different colours, but there are 8 colours in total when you're playing through the game. Each of them do look good, and then as well as the lightsaber, you can actually get different switches, different sleeves, different emitters, different materials, so you can actually make your lightsaber look gold, or chrome, or red. There's a lot of different stuff with the lightsaber. Then you can customize the look of Cal in terms of his poncho and the clothing he's wearing underneath it. Although bear in mind there are only 5 different outfits that literally just change colour. That's what I mean when I say there's not too much depth apart from the lightsaber. So you have Cal's poncho, his outfit, you have BD1, and you can also customize the look of your Mantis ship. So there's a decent amount of it. It's all found through crates which are set up as like exploration items to go and find whilst you're traversing through all the planets. Then we have the combat. It runs smooth, it's incredibly fluent. You get a lot of different moves and stuff you can do with your lightsaber. You actually get 3 different types of lightsabers in the game. You have the single blade, you've got the double blade, and you also have split saber. Although split saber, you can't run around holding 2 lightsabers separately. You can't split it in half and hold them both. It's just used as a move. But it's still pretty good to have the option there to run single or double blade. Again, a few people are saying they would like to be able to have one side of their double blade yellow and the other side blue, or something like that. But you can't do that, it's just one solid colour that runs throughout the lightsaber. But the combat in general, you can block. When you have a rocket shot towards you from a rocket trooper, you can slow it down and push it back to them. Like, you can do all of the different Star Wars things. You can use the Force to your advantage. But the blocking, the parrying, it's all smooth. It runs like it's nice and fluent. It's just good to get in there, get some combat, kill some enemies. It's a lot of fun doing the combat side of things in this game. Next up, the puzzles. The puzzles in this game, there are a lot. In one tomb, you've got like 2 or 3 puzzles. In another one, you've got a couple of puzzles. And they can take a while to complete. But as well as the puzzles, you have the exploration side of it, where you're going out, you're finding data logs, you're scanning enemies, you are finding crates and secrets and different stim crates so that you can get extra health replenishing stim canisters. And I must say that as frustrating as it can get going around searching for these, the developers did an amazing job at making sure some of them are well hidden. A couple of secrets or a couple of the crates alone were taking me like half an hour or 40 minutes. Even using guides, some of them are still quite tough to access. And as I said, it can be frustrating, but at the same time it's amazing how well these things were hidden. And the final thing for the positives about the game, then there's just a few things I want to briefly talk about that are negative. There are no microtransactions. It's probably the best thing about the game. And definitely because EA are publishing this game. Respawn Entertainment, the guys that are responsible for Titanfall and Apex Legends, they have developed this game, they've allowed EA to publish it, and EA are normally full of microtransactions, but Respawn basically told them to get fucked, and there's not a single one in this game. When you buy the game, whether you buy standard or deluxe, that's your choice on buying the edition of the game, but as soon as you get in there, there's nothing that you're going to have to pay for to get access to. It's literally you jump into the game, you start. If you want any of the customization, you've simply just got to go find it. You don't have to dip into your wallet to get hold of it. And then the reason I clarified that I'm playing on the standard Xbox One is because of these negatives. They're all different types of bugs that I've experienced. And then I want to add in something that everyone else seems to be experiencing at the end, so we can have just a very quick chat about it. So, quite a few different times in the game, I was experiencing bad frame rates. It doesn't feel like it ever... I don't know if it's capped to 30 on Xbox, but it just didn't feel smooth at times. It was very clunky, and as I said, like frame drops. Sometimes I would drop to like 5-10 frames. It felt horrible, but it wasn't too often. The game actually crashed on me once because there is a door... I can't really explain it. It's just past the wind turbines. Like, this is my explanation. I don't know if you'd be able to understand what I'm talking about. But just after the wind turbines on the Zepho planet, there's a little doorway you can open up as a shortcut. And there's normally 5 or 6 stormtroopers there. It's just before an ice slide. One time I was running through that door. I've come to the other side of it. Like, the door's opened. I've walked out. And there are literally like 10, maybe 15 stormtroopers all waiting to, like, put a laser bolt in between my bloody eyeballs. But because there were so many, I was going to do the combat because I was only a couple of skill points off getting every single skill in the game. I decided to try and take these guys on. I pulled out my double-bladed lightsaber, and as I've gone to hit one of them, the game couldn't handle the amount of action going on in one section, so it just crashed and it force dashboarded me, which was a little bit irritating. But as I said, it was the only crash I had in... I don't even know how many hours I've put into this, maybe 20 or 30 hours to get through it and do everything. There are a couple of parts in the game, like a couple of times through my playthrough experience, where I actually fell through the map. And one of them, I thought I was going to have to restart my game. I was doing the last bit of exploration on the Ilum planet, and I dropped down this area that should have killed me, like made me respawn back up to a surface. And instead of doing that, I actually fell through the map. I was floating through the sky for a good 30 to 45 seconds before it actually respawned me. So it can be a little bit on the irritating side, but it didn't happen, like it wasn't happening on every single planet, it wasn't happening every 20 minutes. There was only a few occurrences, like only a few times where it actually happened to me, but it's still there in the game. So regardless of whether it's happened once or 100 times, it's still a thing, you can fall through the map. And then sometimes, this is mainly why I said that I play on the standard Xbox One. The textures on this game for me can sometimes take forever to load in and render properly, and then sometimes it feels as though there's actually textures missing. There is a certain part in the Tomb of Mictrol where you interact with the buttons in the puzzle room and the walls come flying into the middle of the room, and you have to use them to navigate your way through. When you do the wall run part right at the end of that room, there's some vines you grab onto, and if you keep crawling down the vines instead of climbing up, you'll come to this part of the wall that you're hanging onto, and there's just no textures there. You can see, like, pretty much outside of the map. And there's just a few different places in the game world where that same thing happens. So again, it's a little bit frustrating, but it's not exactly game-breaking. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we wrap this review up is the fact that so many people are getting stuck. I totally understand that it can be incredibly difficult making your way through this game, but it is a story-driven puzzle game. That's how it's been set with the Star Wars theme. It's kind of like an Uncharted, a Tomb Raider. There's a few other games that people have mentioned it feels a little bit like, but it's one of those sorts of games, and there's a hell of a lot of guides and stuff on YouTube, so if you're ever stuck with something, you can always go and watch a video. There's nothing wrong with turning to someone else for help. I had to do it myself with Tomb of Mictrol, otherwise I probably would have been stuck there for a good couple of hours trying to figure out a couple of the puzzles. But there are certain parts in the game, again, I don't know if this is a bug or not, but some people are making it out of Tomb of Mictrol without the pull ability. Some people are not having the cutscene trigger, which I think is actually a bug. There is a little workaround which I've explained in another video. You basically kill the enemies and then go to a meditation ring to get them to respawn, and then the ship comes along for the cutscene that makes this... I think everyone's calling it a sarcophagus. I think it's just some sort of like platform thing. The fighter comes along, shoots it, you lose grip of your lightsaber, triggers the cutscene. And that's not really a spoiler, that's just explaining something that's happening in the game. Like, you'll know when you get there, but it doesn't ruin any of the storyline. But I mean, people are, like, a lot of people are missing the pull ability, and it's part of the story progression. Like, it's an actual objective to get to it. So I think if there's any possibility of it actually being a bug, then it is 100% game breaking. So there are a couple of things in here that might slow down your progression. They might force an actual restart of the game, and it really frustrates me to know that there are players out there that have lost several hours of gameplay due to this ability thing not happening with the tomb. But obviously I'm not a developer. I can't really, like, even though I have a YouTube presence, I can't go, right, developers, you're going to listen to me, this is affecting everyone, my voice is heard louder because I'm a content creator. It doesn't work as easy as that. I would love to be able to get hold of the support team and get them to fix all the bugs. They're actually releasing a minor patch for PC, and then it's going to release on console in the next week or so, but it doesn't fix any of the stuff that I've mentioned to be bad in this video. But that's pretty much going to be it for me. Overall, I'm going to say that this game is Game of the Year for 2019. My opinion... I mean, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare campaign I absolutely loved, but there was some, like, everyone was talking about there being controversial stuff in there, and then it wasn't just a single-player game, there's obviously multiplayer. So I'm going to say that, at least in terms of single-player, story stuff, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is my Game of the Year, and for that reason, because I've loved it so much playing through the game, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It would have been a 9, closing in on a 10 rating, but because of some of the bugs, I can't give it that high of a score. So it's going to sit at an 8.5. I think I'm being fair. Like, when I think about it, I think that's quite a fair score to give it. But obviously, it's not just my score that matters. So I would like you guys to let me know in the comments what you think of this game. Do you think they could have made it better in any sort of areas? And what do you rate the game as well? Let me know all that good stuff in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.